Hey everybody, welcome back to another installment of Friday Q&A. As always, if you have questions for next week, get them in the comments below, and a happy belated Thanksgiving to everybody out there who watches the channel from the USA in particular, but from everywhere else in the world. I am certainly thankful for you guys for all your support. The channel ticked over 30,000 subscribers this week, which just made my tiny little mind explode. Thank you all so much, especially to the people who have been long-time subscribers. It means a lot to me. Another thing that means a lot to me is all the people out there who have gone and checked out all the Ragdoll stuff. Shameless plug, if you want to grab our last album on vinyl, actually not only on vinyl, on double splatter vinyl with a bunch of bonus tracks, we're running a holiday special over on our Bandcamp store. These are 30 Australian dollars for a double record. That's about as cheap as we can do it without actually losing money on the things. Shipping internationally is about that much as well, which sucks, but that's just the way it is. If you're in Australia, shipping is of course a little bit cheaper, but the master on this particular album is really dynamic, and it's my favorite way to listen to this particular album. So if you're into the Ragdoll stuff, you can go and check that one out and have a very cool little piece of memorabilia that also doubles up as a frisbee or an oversized coaster. Alright, let's get into the questions. How do I afford to restring all these guitars? Well, the sad reality is I don't. So many of these guitars hanging up on the wall have had the same set of strings on them for, I would say about a year, but in reality for some of them it's several years, because there's a bunch of guitars that I have in regular rotation that I change the strings on all the time. In particular, my gigging guitars get a new set of strings, probably on average at least once a month, because I do rotate a couple of those, depending on how many gigs I've got on, but then others have had the same set of strings on for a long time. I normally use elixirs, which makes things a little bit better. They tend to last quite a while and stay kind of fresh and zingy, which I like. So I've found that after I went to elixirs, even though they're more expensive than regular strings, they do last a lot longer and they're great for these type of guitars. But otherwise, yeah, if I was to restring all of them at once, it would cost me a pretty penny. So if anybody out there wants to give me a string sponsorship, it would be an absolute game changer. It would, it would mean I could keep all these guitars minty fresh. But yeah, that's another shameless plug. Speaking of strings as well, somebody was asking about the gauge that I use for drop C. I just use the Elixir 10 to 52 nano web strings, not the poly webs, but the nanos. They've got another type of coating which a lot of people have been raving about that I haven't tried yet, so I would be keen to try those. But the Elixirs, the D string and the G string are a little bit thicker than normal, which I really like the feel of. Ideally it would be cool if they did like a set of like 10 to 56 or 10 to 54, just for a little bit more firmness on the low string, but I find the 10 to 52s work just fine on my main gigging guitars. Talking about near-field monitors, I'm obviously using Adam A7Xs, which I've talked about quite a bit, but if you are looking for a more budget-friendly near-field monitor to use like with your Axe Effects or your modeler, one that I have heard quite a bit are the Samson Resolve monitors. My buddy Troy had or has a set of those, and actually when we were tracking Back to Zero, shameless plug, we used those quite a bit because we did all the guitars at his home studio, and I thought they sounded really good, and they can be had for not too much. Adam also have the TV or T7Vs, which I haven't tried, so I can't really comment on those, but if you can stretch and get the A7s, they're absolutely amazing. I've heard really good things about the T7s, and obviously the Samson Resolves I've tried as well. I think nowadays there's so many options out there for near-field monitors that I certainly haven't tried many of them. I got the Adams a while ago and I've just kind of stuck with them because I like them, but that is something that, ideally if you can find a dealer or a stockist or like a music store that has studio monitors that you can take your rig into, go and try a bunch of stuff, because that really is the only way to know what you like. Do I ever sing and play guitar at home? Yeah, I do this a lot actually, because singing while playing to me is still like the ultimate dark art. Ryan, the singer bass player for Ragdoll, just kind of manages to do some insane stuff while he's singing, like screaming his nuts off and playing bass. And I always ask him about it, and he's like, I don't know, man, I just do it until I can. And this is a skill that I don't really possess, but I certainly couldn't even like hum a melody while I was playing when I started out playing guitar, and it's something that I do quite a lot when I'm writing as well, because I'll often just sort of cycle through the chords while I'm playing guitar, and I'll muck around with vocal melodies, and it's something that I think just improves your overall musicality and is great for your musicianship, being able to sing and play even basic parts, whether you're just strumming eighth notes on an acoustic guitar and, you know, doing some old school Bob Dylan or something like that, or whether you're doing like prog metal, you know, in 15/16 and you're growling over the top of it. That's a really great skill to have as a musician, being able to sing and play at the same time. This one really made me laugh, especially because I've now done not one but two videos about, you know, mimed and fake guitar playing. It reminded me that I put out a video about the tapping lick from Sea of Lies by Symphony X a little while ago, and somebody commented on that it was fake, and I can guarantee you that that one is not fake. The second video I did about fake shredders, where we're talking about like frame rates on the cameras and production value, I think really drives that point home, because my hand does look twitchy in it, but let me show you guys this. This is just what I look like when I'm tapping. Like if I was going to sort of tap anything on the guitar. Let me give you a better view of that. That's kind of the lick, but you can see how my hand's kind of just, it's got this really jerky motion about it. So here is that clip again with the track and then with just a raw guitar, and you can hear all the string noise on there. It's not mimed. The other thing as well, just to reiterate, is like I got a bunch of messages like, hey Leon, did you see this? I said this guy was fake, and now people are doing videos where they're like, this is fake and this is why. And like I said in my last video, if you want to go and do that, by all means go and do it, but just a reminder that just because something is too good to be true when you're watching it on a YouTube video, or if it's got high production value, or if it's something that you've never really heard before, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's fake. Like I said, there are so many people doing great stuff that is legit. It's just got high production value and they're just really, really good. This one pops up quite a bit anytime I play this guitar. What's with the tape on the headstock? And you know, this is just an old meme now, I guess, but around the whole time of that Gibson implosion, you know, there was that thing about, you know, if you're taping your headstocks and you're putting your guitar in a movie, we can still find out, we'll still get you, which I thought was really funny. So I just put some tape on the headstock of this guitar as a joke, and yeah, it's an old meme, but it keeps on going. Same thing on this guitar. Yes, the pickup selector is upside down, and I was going to change it, but now I'm not, just because I love the thought of somebody sitting there going, wow, that neck pickup is really bright, and then watching me swap to the down position and go, wow, that bridge pickup is really dull, and not, you know, connecting the dots and going, oh, maybe it's just a switch that's upside down. So yeah, the tape on the headstock is, you know, because of the Play Authentic thing, and the upside down switch is because I'm incompetent at wiring guitars. Speaking of guitars, what's the deal with this Strat? Well, hopefully if you can see on the headstock, this is an Yngwie Malmsteen signature model Strat. It's a USA model neck and pickup harness, and I bought this off somebody who essentially tried to relic the guitar, and in their words, you know, they didn't really like the way the neck looked on the new relic body, so they got a replacement neck. They ended up selling me the neck and the pickup harness, and I had a spare Warmoth body laying around, so I slapped it all on that. So that's why the body's kind of a funny color. It's what Warmoth call Mary Kay white, based on a classic Fender color. So it looks a little bit different to the classic Yngwie thing. And the other question that pops up a lot is like, what is this? This is the mounting plate for the Fishman triple play pickup system. So the triple play sits on it like this with some magnets, and then you slide the pickup in there, and then you can go away and play some synth guitar. So that's what it looks like with the triple play on. This just kind of pops off, this just kind of slides off if I don't want the pickup on there. And yeah, it's pretty heavily scalloped, however you want to say it. And it's just a great sounding guitar. Really, really mellow pickups, which you wouldn't expect being an Yngwie signature model. One last one for today, that amp behind me, the Cherry Tone Molecular. People have been asking what it is based on, and yes, it is based off a schematic for the Cameron Atomica amp. The Atomica is one of these amps that has a reputation, especially on the internet, because of a whole bunch of drama that occurred around the release of it, and people not getting their money, and then different people were making them at different stages. So there is a widely available Atomica circuit. We took that and Nick made a bunch of really awesome tweaks to it, and we've got the Molecular. So it's kind of its own thing, but the inspiration certainly was the Atomica. Thanks so much for tuning in this week, guys. As always, if you've got questions for next week, get them in the comments below. Stay excellent. I'll see you next week.